Welcome to my channel to everyone who's new here, and of course to those of you who are back again, great to have you here. Bitcoin is currently trading at $113,850. In this video we are going to talk about Bitcoin. Afterwards I will talk about the Bitcoin dominance and then Ethereum, XRP and Solana. Things remain exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. So our trades which we had here: breakout, retest, breakout, retest. First target $114,836. I took profits earlier because I wanted to go to sleep and secure my profits, but the actual target was the $115,360. So we went there, everything is good. So let me just delete those chart patterns. They worked. We didn't get into the maximum extension of that inverted head and shoulders formatation, which is not a big deal. I can take this one out as well. So what I see now is another inverted head and shoulders formatation. So left shoulder, head, right shoulder. If we break the current price mark of 100, let's do it perfect, right around about here, $115,650. If we break it to the upside, then we should also get the breakout over the $116,400. That would be very positive. We have then a target up to $117,500. And what I would like to see is another push into the green trend line, which is a resistance trend line at $118,850. So I will take the other green trend line, which we have on the chart, out of that, because this is a bit too sharp and we wanted to use that if we would have broke out earlier. Since we sold off a bit more, I don't want to keep that trend line anymore, and I will try to get more long positions once we break certain price marks to the upside. So we were also talking about that we can still drop to $112,000 once we break, I think that's what I have said on YouTube, I'm not even sure. Once we break that orange trend line to the downside, we didn't even touch the $112,000. And what I think is very positive, if we look into the RSI, then I would say this low what we have right here and this low what we got is pretty similar to each other. But if you look into the price difference, so when we went into the RSI of round about 31.30, the price was at $112,000. Afterwards, we went into an RSI of 32.33, and the price went to $112,690. So it was pretty similar, but the price movement did a higher low. This is positive in my opinion. We also broke again over the green trend line to the upside. So if it's going to be a sustainable breakout, and I don't even know if this was already the breakout and the retest, sometimes it goes very fast, but if I see some kind of push and afterwards another retest and a follow through, then it is sustainable, and Bitcoin would be also long to me, where I would say I can even get into a long position far earlier than waiting for the $115,650. I would say as long as we hold the $112,000, everything is positive. If we lose it, then we have one support box at $110,300. We give you here the price mark. This purple area goes from $110,300 up to $110,715. There's also a fair value gap, this one right here. So once we lose the $112,000, I can even imagine, so let me take out this here. I can even imagine that we can drop down, but if we don't get support here, then we should drop even more. If we get support, then this can happen. Yeah, but for that, the $112,000 have to break to the downside. So far, we broke even a green trend line to the upside, very positive. So if we now look over the Bitcoin dominance, what I saw before the video was actually this chart pattern right here. So it can develop as an head and shoulders formatation. This would be positive for the altcoins. This would be negative for Bitcoin. Means the altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin once we break it to the downside, because the target is going to be here, small one, down to 60.75%. But if we take the maximum extension, which I think is more realistic, and we put it here to the breakout point, then we can even reach prices, like not prices, but the percentages, even down to the support at 59.66%. If we lose that, then I think we can enjoy a small altcoin rally. What I also see is this kind of an rising wedge is also a bearish chart pattern. If we break it to the downside, then this would actually cause the breakout over the red trend line. And red doesn't mean here short, it's the Bitcoin dominance. It's just going to show me that the altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin, because if the Bitcoin dominance drops, then the overall money which is within the crypto market is not that much into Bitcoin anymore. So currently in the whole crypto market, almost 62% of the liquidity is in Bitcoin. And if it's going to drop, then those billions are going to get swapped into the altcoins. This would actually get the altcoins with higher prices. So we jump into the biggest altcoin, Ethereum. So if we look over Ethereum, then we have predicted an inverted head and shoulders formatation. It also broke to the upside. Target was the 3,750 US dollar. Yeah, we missed that target a little bit. That's why I always say we don't take profits right at 3,750 US dollar. We take them a bit earlier, because this can happen, and it happens kind of often. We often see also perfect bounces on resistance or support trend lines, but sometimes, like, the market is seeing that. The market sees there's a resistance, people are going to take profits there. You also can see it in the order book then. And the bigger players are going to say, no, I'm going to sell a bit earlier because I want to sell as well. And yeah, they are a bit smart. They're doing what they want, but it worked. So I can take this one out as well. And if we look at this green trend line, and I just make this one longer, then I think with a very high chance we are going to touch this with the last sell-off. So is it perfect? Let me zoom in. Yeah, it's accurate, it's okay. And here we go, we touched it. So what I think was, we had here some kind of a breakout which failed, but we got another breakout afterwards, like a follow through. And after the follow through, we always know, okay, we don't have to get the perfect retest. Yeah, it's always better once we get one, because then we can do the most profitable trades. But here was already a breakout. Then we went again lower than the green trend line. Here we went again over the green trend line. But with this candle close, which closed right here, it is a higher candle close than this one. This is the follow through. So here it was clear that we should see the 3,750 US dollar, even though we didn't get a perfect retest. What I think right now is that if we are even more bullish, and I think we are kind of bullish, that this was the breakout and this is the retest. And afterwards, if a follow through comes, this is going to happen. This is my plan at the moment, because we always say we get retests, and those retests should last. If we want to have the perfect trade, they should last for several hours. Like, we should see support there. And if we look right here, how often we bounced on that green trend line, we got for several hours support. So this is actually the perfect breakout retest setup. The only difference, it is a bit bigger. And if it's going to be bigger, then the price movement to the upside is going to be bigger. So I'm currently in long positions, but only for Dogecoin and Render. I will tell you also why. About Ethereum, I'm still going to wait a little bit because it doesn't make a huge difference if I jump here at $3,563 or if I jump at $3,610 into the trade. The only difference is that I have here more security. Means if we break it here to the upside, then we have a double bottom pattern, which breaks to the upside, and then we can get some positive momentum, and this positive momentum can reach for a bigger price movement to the upside. We still have the chance to sell off. That's why I don't want to long Ethereum right now, even though we see that kind of retest. It is just also from the retest point 1.5% away. But what I think is we are actually going to see a price movement even up to 4K or more. And if we take this price movement from down here to 4K, then it's 11.73%. If I take it from the entry point, which I want to take, then it's just going to be 10%. So I make 1.5% less profits, but in my opinion, it doesn't matter if I do 10% or 11.5%. Actually, it doesn't matter. The only difference is with a higher chance, I'm not going to lose. So risk to reward ratio, once we break the $3,610 to the upside, going to be very, very positive. And I just took the minimum target. In my opinion, $4,000 is just the minimum target. I even think we can see prices up to $4,400 or even 4,000, around about $600. We have chart patterns which are directing us into that area. So basically, Ethereum looks very good to me. Very good to me once we break $3,610 to the upside. It wouldn't look good to me once we lose that green trend line, but I will make this one red down here. So if we lose the current price mark of $3,380, it's going to be very negative, and we can drop by, I would say, even 20% or 15%. Oh, it's not even that much. 11.85% with a chance of dropping even more because we have fair value gaps lower than us. So $3,380 is going to be very interesting. If we lose that, it's not looking positive, and we can see some bigger price movement to the downside, which we have seen, for example, here. This was 13.5%, doesn't look much, but it is much. We can see it to the downside again. Yeah, then this was just here, the first down move. This was the correction to the down move, and then we are going a step lower. But so far, everything looks good to me. So what about XRP? Let me delete this, and I will re-explain it because it looks very messy. So we have on the chart a falling wedge, this one right here. It broke to the upside, it got its retest. Here we are very close to a second retest, and I can still imagine that XRP can sell off a little bit more to get a perfect touch point, but we don't have to. We also had here a small fair value gap, which we have closed. I think this fair value gap wasn't actually as significant. So basically, in my opinion, I have to go into the 50 minutes chart. Once we break the $2.99, let's round it up to $3 to be even more safe. Then we have here a fair value gap. This fair value gap should be our breakout. Then I want to see a rejection and for a few hours some kind of support. Then it's long to me. And we also had here another green trend line on the chart. This we wanted to use as a long position because we got here support, we got here support, we got here support, we got even here support, broke it to the downside, retested it. Here we got rejected. So this trend line was actually valid, but it wasn't valid right here. Like it has no usage, so I can just delete this one. This was a mistake. And yeah, still $3 breakout point in my opinion. And we can reach prices up to $3.12. Then we have here an inverted head and shoulders formatation. And once this breaks to the upside, current price target $3.12, but it's going to move over the time depending on when we are going to break it to the upside. And then you can see here the price is different to this one. So if we break it to the upside, current price target would be $3.28. And the $3.28 are a bit interesting. First of all, we are not going to break it to the upside in the next hour. So this target is also going to move to the upside if we take longer to break this bright blue trend line to the upside. But then we have two almost similar targets. This one right here was our old rectangle. We broke it to the downside, we got already to the target. But rectangles are unique. If you are long on my channel, then you know it already. The target is ongoing on both directions. So if we have here our box with this rectangle, then the target here is ongoing and the target down here is ongoing. We fill that first, and over the time, we can also drop lower, but over the time we should see the upper part again. This is my game plan. And I think once we break the $3 to the upside, that we should actually see at least $3.30. And I have even the chance to increase my position size. Once we break that inverted head and shoulders formatation to the upside, I can also increase the position size at $3.18, because we saw here support and we saw here several times resistance. There I want to increase my position size for this push. And once the $3.36 breaks to the upside, then I think it's going to look good. But in my opinion, what I expect is, we had before a double bottom pattern. So until here it was a double bottom pattern. Now inverted, it can develop as an inverted head and shoulders formation. So left shoulder, head, pull back, right shoulder, breakout. And if we then take the maximum length, this is now very speculative, I have to admit that. But we are very often right with it because it looks like it. It is already 70% of the chart pattern. So why not developing the other 30%, right? But then we can even see XRP at $4 if this is going to get in play. Very speculative. First of all, $3 breakout point. I would say all my bullish scenarios are going to get invalidated once we break the $2.67 to the downside. If that is the case, then we can see it. We have support at $2.50, $2.35, and many small fair value gaps, which add up into bigger ones if we go into the bigger time frames. You can see it here. It's almost one big fair value gap. And if we break it down to the smaller time frames, then there are just going to be smaller ones, but they are still there. So basically, this is going to be very dangerous once we break the $2.67 to the downside. It's still far down. Yeah, I'm for real completely bullish for XRP. I'm also very bullish for Solana, even though we saw a huge sell-off. It might be possible that the sell-off is done. If we try to say, okay, we are going to use Elite Wave and we are currently bullish, so we got some kind of this price movement here, which has 5 waves. Then after 5 waves, we get 3 waves as a correction. 1, 2, 3. Those are usually very impulsive and fast. I'm not an Elite Wave specialist, but in my opinion, this is here 3 waves to the downside impulsively, so it looks like a wave 2 to me. After wave 2, wave 3 comes, and then it can look something like this. So from this side, it looks bullish. From the other side, from like what I'm doing, playing with chart patterns, fair value gaps, and support and resistance, I can't see any kind of chart patterns right now because the chart got, it's the only chart which didn't work very good since the 2 days. We had here our breakout point at $162, $63. We should get right here. Okay, this worked. But the $169 we got here rejected a few times. And we got here our fake out move. All the other coins didn't do a breakout. Just Solana did one. So in my opinion, I was also waiting. I was waiting a bit. Because in my opinion, in my mind, it was like, why is Solana breaking out? Is Solana the only coin who knows in which direction we are going? Or is Solana the only coin which is currently doing a fake out to snag the liquidity? Like all those long positions which jump into in because we see, okay, here, breakout. I have to go into a long position right now. Breakout traders usually go once a breakout candle happens. So if we get a candle close over a specific chart pattern or resistance trend line, then they are going right here into a long position. And they got wiped out pretty fast afterwards. Everyone got liquidated who went into that breakout. So fake moves. Anyway, if we look now into some kind of a resistance, then I would say I see the resistance at 165 US dollar. We got here support if we make it longer, then here it was also support. If we make it longer, then it was here resistance. I want to keep that. And here it was also resistance. We have also a fair value gap over 165 US dollars, so I can imagine that we get some kind of a breakout, retest. Then I want to be in long position, and then the target would be, in my opinion, 185 US dollar for Solana. I don't see any kind of significant resistance lower than 185 US dollar beside 175 US dollar, which is this right here. But I don't even want to say that this is significant. I would even say we should straight go into 185 US dollar for Solana once we break at least again the 169 US dollar to the upside. So everything looks possible. We have our red trend lines on the chart. Those red trend lines, I give you the price marks for all the coins. For Solana it's 158. For XRP it's $2.67, I think. $2.67. For Ethereum it was 3,380 US dollar, and for Bitcoin it was 112,000 US dollar. As long as we hold it, everything is bullish, everything looks good. Once we lose that red trend lines, then I would actually consider looking for short entries, because then the market should sell off a lot. And with a lot, I mean Solana already made it, 23%, we can easily get it again. You can see how fast we are on the 1 hour chart. This price movement here got developed within, I think, 8 or 9 days. So if we just take here 23% again, it's just here 20% to the next support, but 125 US dollar. Like, we can sell off a lot. And in my opinion, all the coins are going to break to the downside simultaneously. If Bitcoin breaks the $112,000 to the downside, then all the other coins should also break those red trend lines to the downside. They are correlating with each other. So basically, so far, we are, for some coins, in the second retest. It is normal. Everything looks still bullish to me. And we have to break certain price marks to the upside. I'm personally looking for smaller entries to have at least a few long positions earlier, so I can play a bit with my profits. So if I take a long position at 165 US dollar and I got already 2.5% in profits, and I'm going to double up my position size at 169 US dollar, then I can have a stop loss at break even between those. My average entry price would be somewhere here, and I can use this as stop loss. So I'm not going to lose any kind of money. So I'm playing a bit with my profits then it's more high risk. But high risk also means good profits if it's going to work. So with that said, we see each other in the 3 Avalanche, HBAR and Dogecoin update.